Our programs offer many languages. Please visit suprememastertv.com/schedule.
It is thou who art the doer in each thing and each being, and he who is near enough to thee to see thee in all actions without exception will know how to transform each act into a benediction. Please continue watching to find out more.
Swagat is Hindi for welcome. I am Hemachandra. The generous people of India love you and praise your noble deeds in caring for this planet. In today's program, we will get to know a saint who, as she stated, belonged to no nation, no civilization, no society, no race, but to the divine. We will learn through her writings how to be good instruments of the divine. Mira Alfasa, who became known as the Mother or Sri Ma, was born in 1878 in Paris, France. Although she showed great artistic, musical and writing talent at an early age, her real interest was the spiritual side of life. Based on her inner experience and guidance by a saint she later recognized as Sri Aurobindo, she traveled to India in 1914, where she met him for the first time.
As soon as I saw Sri Aurobindo, I recognized in him the well-known being whom I used to call Krishna, and this is enough to explain why I am fully convinced that my place and my work are near him in India.
Sri Aurobindo conferred the title of the Mother in recognition of her embodiment of the principles of the Divine Mother. When the decision was made to create an ashram in 1926, Sri Aurobindo entrusted all the spiritual and material tasks of running the ashram to the Mother. For the next 50 years, under her loving guidance, the ashram developed into a spiritual center for truth seekers. The Mother went on to found two more organizations, the Sri Aurobindo International Center of Education, offering courses from kindergarten through university level, and a visionary community called Auroville, or the City of Dawn. The Mother also developed an extensive series of spiritual writings. These highlight a goal of ultimate union with the divine, along with becoming master of ourselves and our destiny. Shining through all of her work is the Mother's love and devotion to God. Though she left her body in 1973, the 17 volumes of collected works of the Mother forever serve as a shining guidance and inspiration for spiritual seekers. The following passages come from the Mother's first spiritual diary volume, Prayers and Meditations. For more information about the Mother and Sri Aurobindo, please visit sriaurobindoashram.org. November 2nd, 1912. Although my whole being is in theory consecrated to Thee, O Sublime Master, who art the life, the light, and the love in all things, I still find it hard to carry out this consecration in detail. It has taken me several weeks to learn that the reason for this written meditation, its justification, lies in the very fact of addressing it daily to Thee. In this way, I shall put into material shape each day a little of the conversation I have so often with Thee. I shall make my confession to Thee as well as it may be, not because I think I can tell Thee anything, for Thou art Thyself everything, but our artificial and exterior way of seeing and understanding is, if it may be so said, foreign to Thee, opposed to Thy nature. Still, by turning towards Thee, by immersing myself in Thy light at the moment, when I consider these things little by little, I shall see them more like what they really are, until the day when, having made myself one in identity with Thee, I shall no more have anything to say to Thee, for then I shall be Thou. This is the goal that I would reach. Towards this victory, all my efforts will tend more and more. I aspire for the day when I can no longer say I, for I shall be Thou. November 28th, 1912. The outer life, the activity of each day and each instant, is it not the indispensable complement of our hours of meditation and contemplation? And is not the proportion of time given to each the exact image of the proportion which exists between the amount of effort to be made for the preparation and realization? For meditation, contemplation, union is the result obtained, the flower that blooms. The daily activity is the anvil on which all the elements must pass and repass in order to be purified, refined, made supple and ripe for the illumination which contemplation gives to them. All these elements must be thus passed one after the other through the crucible before outer activity becomes needless for the integral development. Then is this activity turned into the means to manifest these so as to awaken the other centers of consciousness to the same dual work of the force and the illumination. Therefore, are pride and satisfaction with oneself the worst of all obstacles. Very modestly, we must take advantage of all the minute opportunities offered to knead and purify some of the innumerable elements, to make them supple, to make them impersonal, to teach them forgetfulness of self and abnegation and devotion and kindness and gentleness. And when all these modes of being have been become habitual to them, then are they ready to participate in the contemplation and to identify themselves with Thee in the supreme concentration. That is why it seems to me that the work must be long and slow, even for the best, and that striking conversions cannot be integral. They change the orientation of the being, they put it definitively on the straight path, but truly to attain the goal, none can escape the need of innumerable experiences of every kind and every instant. December 3rd, 1912. Last night I had the experience of the effectivity of confident surrender to Thy guidance. When it is needful that something should be known, one knows it, and the more passive the mind to Thy illumination, the clearer and the more adequate is its expression. I listened to Thee as Thou spoke in me, and I would have liked to write down what Thou said so that the formula in all its precision might not be lost. For now I should not be able to repeat what was said. Then I thought, that this care for conservation was against an insulting lack of confidence towards thee. For thou canst make of me all that I need to be, and in the measure in which my attitude allows thee to act on me and in me, thy omnipotence has no limits. To know that at each instant what must be surely is, as perfectly as is possible. For all those who know how to see thee in everything and everywhere, no more fear, no more uneasiness, no more anguish, nothing but a perfect serenity and absolute confidence, a supreme unwavering peace. December 10th, 1912. It is thou who art the doer in each thing and each being, and he who is near enough to thee to see thee in all actions without exception will know how to transform each act into a benediction. To abide always in thee is the one thing that matters, always and ever more and more in thee, beyond illusions and the deceptions of the senses, not drawing back from action, refusing it, rejecting it, a struggle useless and pernicious, but leaving thee alone in the act, whatever it may be, ever and always thee. Then the illusion is dispelled, the falsehoods of the senses vanish, the bond of consequences is broken, all is transformed into a manifestation of the glory of thy eternal presence. So let it be. Amen. December 11th, 1912. I await without haste, without inquietude, the tearing of another veil, the union made more complete. I know that the veil is formed of a whole mass of small imperfections of attachments without number. How shall all this disappear? Slowly, as the result of countless small efforts and a vigilance not faltering even for a moment, or suddenly, through a great illumination of thy all-powerful love. I know not, I do not even put to myself the question. I wait, keeping watch as best I can, in the certitude that nothing exists save thy will, that thou alone art the doer and I am the instrument. And when the instrument is ready for a completer manifestation, the manifestation will quite naturally take place. Already there is heard from behind the veil the wordless symphony of gladness that reveals thy sublime presence. February 5th, 1913. Thy voice is heard as a melodious chant in the stillness of my heart and is translated in my head by words which are inadequate and yet replete with thee. And these words are addressed to the earth and say to her, poor sorrowful earth, remember that I am present in thee, and lose not hope. Each effort, each grief, each joy, and each pang, each call of thy heart, each aspiration of thy soul, each renewal of thy seasons, all without exception, what seems to thee sorrowful and what seems to thee joyous, what seems to thee ugly and what seems to thee beautiful, all infallibly lead thee towards me, who am endless peace, shadowless light, perfect harmony, certitude, rest and supreme blessedness. Listen, O earth, to the sublime voice that arises. Listen and take new courage. Pure-hearted viewers, thank you for your company on today's Words of Wisdom. Please join us again tomorrow for part 2 of selections from the Mother's prayers and meditations, the instruments of the divine. May you forever cherish your compassionate heart under God's loving grace.
Our programs offer many languages. Please visit suprememastertv.com/schedule and suprememastertv.com/WOW.
Nos programmes offrent plusieurs langues. Veuillez visiter suprememastertv.com/schedule y suprememastertv.com/WOW.
Nuestros programas ofrecen varios idiomas. Visiten suprememastertv.com/schedule y suprememastertv.com/WOW.
برنامه‌های ما شامل زبان‌های بسیاری است. از این وبسایت ها دیدن فرمایید: suprememastertv.com/schedule و suprememastertv.com/WOW.